Good morning, everyone. We're here at Commissioners Park, right on the edge of Dow's Lake. I'm here with my good friend, Grant Hooker, who's the founder of Beavertail, but he's also quite involved in our community in terms of tourism, but also in terms of the Canadian Tulip Festival. Grant, good morning.
Good morning, Matthew.
How was the first weekend of Canadian Tulip Fest here in our capital city?
It really came around for us. It was sunny, and they estimated there were 60 to 70,000 people on Saturday and the same number on Sunday. And the tulips cooperated, they came. Now today they're a little bit cold and shriveled, but as soon as they warm up a little bit, they'll spread, and they're going to be in their glory for the Victoria Day weekend.
Well, that's right. It's the long weekend coming up, and we're hoping for nice, warm sun so that all of the programs here at the Canadian Tulip Fest can be fully completed.
We're hoping the same thing, Matthew.
So why are you so passionate about the tulip? Why are you so passionate about this festival?
Well, for one thing, cities would die to have this kind of a festival. And these festivals are not easy to produce. We don't charge admission here. So we have to scratch for the funds, and yet you got to keep it going. And it's also part of our heritage, Canadian heritage, the story of the founding of the festival, the war years when the royal family was here in Ottawa. Princess Marguerite was born right down the road from here. Then the Canadian troops were the main ones that liberated the Netherlands. And the Netherlands continues to be just so grateful. And then when the Queen went back, or the Princess she was, the Queen sent over 100,000 tulip bulbs to say thank you, Canada, for liberating our country and taking care of our royal family. The NCC, they were called the Federal District Commission at the time, they planted the bulbs. And a great gentleman that was the founder of this festival in 1953, Mallet Karsh, a photographer, we asked him, how did this all start? He said when those tulips came up the first spring, the world was still gray. There were still a lot of heartaches around, and there wasn't a lot of food still. Rationing had finally, had ended, but there was not a lot of produce, not a lot of production. And he said
That's in the late 40s, early 50s.
That was in the spring of 1946. It was like 10 months after the war ended.
Very, very near the war.
Exactly. And he said when those flowers came up, it was like they brought color back into a gray world.
And for the bulb, if people are looking for bulbs, where's the best spot?
Well, there's a bulb that we would ask them to go to liberation75.ca.
Liberation75.ca?
Yes.
And why is that one special?
They can join a program to plant a tulip bulb for every soldier that served in World War II next fall, in anticipation.
Every Canadian soldier? Or
every Canadian soldier, yes, I'm sorry, in the Second World War. And that's happening across the country with us driving it with the NCC and the Dutch Embassy and KLM. And then there would be, 1.1 million blooms in the spring of 2020, which is the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands and the end of the Second World War.
So tons of things to do here. I think going back to its roots was very important for the festival. It's also a reminder of the importance of it. It's not just in November where we really think back of what democracy and Remembrance Day. There's really a unique component with the tulip and the period. So thank you for rebringing it to the core of the purpose of the festival. And one of the features was a project by David O'Malley, who's a local historian.
He's a graphic artist.
Graphic artist, okay.
Excellent graphic artist. And he's a military buff, but he also has a real reverence for people that have served in the war. And what he lives in the glebe, and there's a map of the glebe, a little bit larger than the glebe, but here's where we are, here's Dow's Lake.
Yeah.
And David got to wondering, I wonder how many people went to Glebe High School and did not come back. So he went to the high school, he took a photograph of the 2 plaques that are in the halls there with names on them, and then he went to the old Ottawa Journal newspapers, and he found each of those people and where they lived, and he put them on a map.
And this is what it is. So we'll take a random number here, 33.
Yep.
So if we were to click on that, well, we see George Joseph Goodwin Jr.
Right.
And we get a bit of information on the individual, or as much information as there would be.
He's 27 years old. He died early in the war, 1941. He's buried in Belgium.
So we want you to come down to the Tulip Fest. There's tons of relevant, meaningful programming here. It's all weekend long, all Victoria Day weekend long. When's the best time for folks to come?
Oh, you know, between 12 and 5.
12 and 5, and
Yep.
on Sunday evening.
And Sunday evening of the fireworks, the traditional, and they go around 9 o'clock. So we're open from 12 to 9:30 to 10 o'clock on
So
Sunday.
learn more about the Second World War, learn more about the Tulip, learn more about our community and all of this amazing festival. It's also the festival that sets the summer tone. So let's really hope for some warm weather this coming long weekend. And Grant,
Supposed to get it. Yeah.
we're supposed to get it.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for what you do for our community, and
My
thanks again
pleasure.
for being the leader in the Canadian Tulip Festival here in Ottawa.
Thank you for visiting.